Putin's invasion in Ukraine to bed, essentially. If he wins in November, he met with Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, today at Trump Tower. That was their first meeting since 2019, saying this to Fox after the meeting.
I learned a lot, but I think I haven't changed from the standpoint that we both want to see this end, and we both want to see a fair deal made. And it's got to be fair, and I think that'll happen at the right time. I think it's going to happen. The president wants it to end, and he wants it to end as quickly as possible. It should stop, and the president wants it to stop, and I'm sure President Putin wants it to stop, and that's a good combination.
Joining me now exclusively, House Speaker Mike Johnson. Speaker Johnson, good to have you here. We're going to get back to Ukraine, but let me get your reaction to this breaking news that is happening right now in the Middle East.
This is a big day for news, and there's a common denominator in so much of what is happening today, what you're talking about on the airwaves, and that is Iran. It is through their proxies that they are engaging in all sorts of evil, there in Israel, of course, and even here in the U.S. That's the headlines across the board. They must be dealt with appropriately. We need strength back in the White House, and that's the other common denominator here. The reason that Ukraine is in trouble, and Israel's in trouble, and Taiwan is in trouble, and all of our allies are nervous around the world is because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have projected weakness on the world stage. Donald J. Trump will solve that problem, all these problems, and it can't happen soon enough.
You know, the window that exists here and the Iranian infiltration into the Trump emails, they are clearly trying to have an influence on this campaign. And now you see all of this action that is happening in the Middle East and this meeting that's about to happen at the Ayatollah Khomeini's home. We're waiting for Nasrallah confirmation. You know, this is a very hot situation. Do you think that President Biden can wrap his arms around this and, you know, make sense of it and in our national security interests?
This is far above the head of Joe Biden, unfortunately, and very, very tragically and dangerously for us. He is not capable of handling this level of crisis, and certainly Kamala Harris is not either. Imagine if Kamala Harris was the commander-in-chief at a dangerous moment like this. We're on the verge of World War III. This is the most dangerous time since World War II, and you have to have steady hands at the wheel. You've got to have strength. You have to have a leader in the White House that our adversaries fear, and that's not what's happening right now. The reason we're in this situation is because of the way that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have handled this. We have got to get on top of it. Look, I'm grateful that the FBI and the Director of National Intelligence are making a move on the Iranians that were engaging in foreign interference in our election, but they've also tried to put a hit on President Trump. They've tried assassination plots. No one's talking about that. Kamala Harris hasn't said a word about it. We have to take the threat seriously, and we have to act decisively.
Let me ask you about this week and about Zelensky's visit to Washington. You have met with him twice in the past. You did not meet with him this time, and then you sent him a letter saying that a stop that the U.S. ambassador, the Ukrainian ambassador to the U.S. made in Pennsylvania looked too much like a campaign event to you, and that you want her to be removed. You said he must remove her. So I guess my question is, or what?
Well, listen, I don't have more time for meetings. We've done enough of that, and my letter was very clear to President Zelensky. This was a major misstep. At a time when he needs the support of everyone in America from all parties, he should not be showing up at a campaign event for Kamala Harris, which is effectively what that was. They flew him around on a taxpayer-funded jet to go to an event in Pennsylvania, one of the key swing states in the election, to appear with a panel of Democrats, from the nominee for the Senate, the incumbent there, to House races, and the governor who showed up, who almost was the vice presidential pick on the Harris ticket. It's unacceptable. He can't do that. I'm glad that he met with President Trump today, but he's got a lot more to do, and I think removing the ambassador is an important step to make a statement.
I'm assuming that you haven't had any.
This is a big mistake.
Any decision on that from them. We haven't heard any decision on that from them. But I guess what I'm asking is, does this signal any shift in your support for the Ukraine cause? Do you still stand by, because you've supported the all of the funding that has gone to Ukraine, and $8 billion more just went this week. Do you support that $8 billion more for military aid to Ukraine?
Well, the funding that Congress voted on months ago was important to prevent Russia from taking the capital city of Kyiv and setting up on the border of Poland, which would have then required us to fulfill our NATO obligations and send our soldiers there to help defend a NATO ally. We couldn't do that. As I said very clearly, I would rather send bullets to Ukraine than boys, American soldiers. But this is now a different phase. And what President Trump said today is exactly right. None of this would have happened if he had been in the White House. And that's very clear. I think President Zelensky agrees with that and understands it. And this cooperation is very important to make sure that evil doesn't prevail.
All right. Do you support the $8 billion that went this week? Is that a no?
That's not new money. That was already money that Congress allocated. When we get into the first quarter of next year, we'll decide all that. But President Trump will be in the White House, and he'll be able to direct how all that's handled.
Speaker Johnson, so much happening, and we really appreciate you weighing in. Thank you very much for coming today.